Hey everybody, in this episode of Box Office Breakdown, the Rise of Skywalker falls to World War I. We'll break it all down next.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Box Office Breakdown.
Hey everybody, welcome to Box Office Breakdown. This, of course, is the show where we look back at the box office that was, and then we...
We're going to teach you something new. You ready?
Yeah.
So we're going to break down a word. Say the next part of the word we're saying prognosticate. So
Okay.
prog.
Kate.
Yay!
Oh, look at this. I was like,
Put you on the spot right away.
Yeah.
Look at Bree, a little tear running down her
she's
cheek.
like, oh, I wanted to.
About the box office that lie ahead, I am Frank Moran.
What's up? Kari Lane here.
Hello, I'm Brandon Hanna.
Look at this. Let's get excited. Brandon's sitting in with us today. Yes!
Super thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
There you go.
Yay.
Yes. But before we get a little bit more into Brandon, let's give a shout out to the person who makes us look good and sound even better, Bree in the booth.
Hey everybody, glad to be here.
As always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up while you're there, or 2, or 3, 4, 5, 6, however many you can do.
Can you reach that far?
I don't know, maybe.
Wait,
Oh,
yeah,
look
you're
at
in the
that.
chat.
Look at that
Yay!
thumb right there. Yes. And, of course, feel free to hop in the chat. It is live, as we are live here with you. But, Kari, if they're watching after we stream live, what can they do?
You can comment down below.
Oh, fantastic. So we'll be talking about this weekend's box office. We'll do another box office bet, and we'll talk about the January films. If your film is releasing in January, is that truly a death knell to the box office for that film? But, as I mentioned, Brandon is here with us. Brandon, thanks for joining us. Give us a little, what are your go-to films? What kind of films are you into? What kind of genres? Are you wide open? Do you have anything specific?
Specifically, I love like really geeky films like fantasy, sci-fi, superhero stuff, but I also really love horror movies and thrillers and stuff like that. So those are my go-to typically, but I'll watch just about anything.
Very nice. There you go. I mean, Kari is our resident horror expert, so she's very particular.
You know.
Yeah.
Wait.
I don't want to offend you.
No. I was going to say, deep question. If we just covered the holidays, do you have a favorite holiday horror film?
Ooh, favorite holiday horror film. That's a tough one. I know Krampus can be a little controversial. Some people love it, some people don't. I do like that movie a lot. And recently, last year, Anna and the Apocalypse came out.
Yes, yeah, we did
and
talk about that.
I absolutely love that movie.
Cool.
So I know all the songs.
All right, well, it looks
I'm a
like
geek.
Kari's blendment went over. I'm still reserving judgment.
You always have judgment, though.
That's true. I live to judge.
Yes.
So, folks, we'll take a look at this weekend's past box office here. Coming in at number 1, 1917. Won a Golden Globe, which really helped it out at the box office this weekend. Have either of you two seen it yet?
No.
I have not either. I'm dying to see it, though.
I saw it.
Oh, nicely, Bree.
Yay!
But, Bree, what did you think?
I really liked it. I think it's a really, really good film if you're into this kind of genre. The way that I won't go into spoilers, but the way that it was filmed was really cool and interesting. It was just a different take from something I've seen before.
I'd agree. There are some beautiful scenes in there. And a lot of the reviews have been saying technically it's fantastic and worth seeing for that, but the characters are a little shallow. Maybe, but there are some vignettes and scenes in there that did stick with me. But
I felt like, not giving anything away, but I just felt like the characters aren't necessarily the main point of it. So I don't think that they needed to be as developed, if that makes sense. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section, Frank.
All right. Thanks, Bree. I appreciate it.
Okay.
But we're checking out, and I think even though you two did not fall to the Golden Globes push to go see this film, many of the audience did. It came in number 1 at $36.5 million.
I was going to say awards are a joke. Just kidding. Adam ruins everything. Have you watched the awards video on that?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Bree, have you seen this?
I have not.
Oh. No? Okay.
No.
Not
think
that
I know
I
where
love
it's
all his
going.
videos, but he breaks down like award season is not. I wish it was more truly based on their merit of the film, but probably is not.
Well, I feel like there's so much more about it's all political and advertising.
It's advertising. A lot of it's
Yes.
advertising too, because if you never heard about a film, how do you see it?
That's
And
very
then
true.
how would it get your vote? So, just saying, not to throw shades on the awards because it's still amazing. I think it's great for these people to celebrate the films and their accomplishments and everything. But it is one of those that I always kind of wonder. I'm like, well, but how real is it? I mean, I still would watch. I still like watching the awards, though. I still like watching them.
Even though you just yell at the screen, this is a sham. It doesn't matter.
You know,
It's all
or
fake.
maybe it's more just that people don't acknowledge how not accurate it really is.
Right.
Just saying. Yeah.
All right, well, coming in number 2 at the box office with 15.1 million, The Rise of Skywalker. All right, Brandon, as you said, you're a person that loves geek films. What did you think of the conclusion to the Skywalker saga?
I have mixed feelings about it. Overall, I enjoyed it. There's some stuff in the movie I absolutely love. Some stuff where I kind of rolled my eyes at it. So it's a mix. It's a mix, but I do enjoy it, and I think it's a fun conclusion.
All right, just to gauge where your tastes lie in this.
Sure.
Give me one thing that you loved and one thing that made you roll your eyes.
Okay, I absolutely love everything with Kylo Ren and Rey. I think their story arc, their character arc is fantastic. Their relationship together between, the characters, it's kind of like a really unique spin on the whole relationship between Luke and his father in the original trilogy, and the way it all comes together and the way it works and the way it ended up. I didn't think they would win me over with the way it concluded, but I think it actually did a good job with that. And as far as rolling my eyes, the biggest thing probably would be the reveal of Rey's character and who she really is and where she comes from.
Yeah.
In theory, actually really cool, especially when I heard Chris Terrio talk about it in an interview and their reasoning for it. I really appreciated that, but I thought the execution was a little rushed and not handled well. Maybe if they had 6 more months to iron out the details, it would have been a little better. But overall, I can't complain too much.
All right.
So you're a Reylo stan?
Huge Reylo stan, yes. I wasn't. I never was. My friends have been trying to get me on that train for the last 2 years. I'm like, no, it's never going to happen. This is ridiculous. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, they got me.
They got you in?
They got me.
The chat likes that you're a Reylo stan fan. Stan. And then also, I'm glad that you like it and dislike it, because someone left a comment saying the fact that we like it doesn't mean we're legit Star Wars fans, Frank.
Well, I did not enjoy it.
Well, you didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it, but it was kind of just a meh.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah,
you can like it and dislike it, and
true.
It's okay.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans are going to have many varied opinions about this, and no one is better than the other. Except if they're, if they agree with me, they're better. But if they don't.
Okay. Well, also, sorry, quick rewind. Chat also, everybody's very impressed with 1917. So a lot of good feedback from people in the chat. So
nice.
Glad to hear it, because it is one I'm like, yeah, I want to see it. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Last thing about Star Wars, real quick, Brian, is I know that on the scene as they're fighting, Kylo and Rey are fighting right there on top of the Death Star. I felt like the movie wanted me to feel something during that battle, and I really felt nothing. I was just watching going, I'm not emotionally invested in this. Were you emotionally invested in it at that point?
I could see how you can feel that way. It's kind of like white noise. It's almost a bit much reminiscent of Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting at the end of Revenge of the Sith, where the theatrics and special effects could be a bit too much to handle. But towards the end of the fight, I really appreciated how they really showed they really didn't want to fight one another. They really didn't want to hurt one another, and they were just kind of going through the motions. And this kind of leads to this turn with Ben Solo and this amazing sequence that we have after that I thought was really impactful. But I could understand how you can feel you can feel differently.
All right.
Okay.
Coming in at number 3 at this week's box office, Jumanji: The Next Level, another 14 million. Have you seen it, Brandon?
I have not. But I know that these movies are pretty popular and they're doing pretty well.
We both saw it.
Yeah.
It's fun, but would you say it's one of those, would you rather just wait? Like, I would say still see it, but...
Yeah, it's fine to see, but it's not one of those where it's like, I hope there's another Jumanji film.
Yeah, no, I'm like, good. It's pause right here. We're good.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Coming in number 4 was one of our new films for the week, Like a Boss. And I know, Brandon, you definitely went and saw this weekend, right? It made $10 million straight up.
The trailer looked fun.
Come
People
on
listening,
now.
Frank is making a face at me.
Come on.
It looked kind of fun, but that's one that I wouldn't necessarily want to have to see at the theaters, like, I don't need the giant screen. I'm good at my home screen.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'll wait.
All right. I feel like many people felt the same way. I mean, it did not have a very good critical review on that. Mm-hmm. And when a film is only 83 minutes, it doesn't seem like it bodes well. A few films are just 83 minutes, and you're like, Yes, that was a great film. This one, I feel like it did not live up to that. Coming in at number 5, rounding out our box office top 5 was Just Mercy, also at $10 million. One I have not seen as well. We also had our box office bet for another film that came out this week that did not make our top 5. I'm sorry to say. That was Underwater, the Kristen Stewart horror film. Some people, that's what I've actually heard some mix. I mean, it's like 95 minutes, but I've heard it's a derivative film, but it's an okay watch.
You've totally sold me on it.
See, I know that's it. I don't think anybody's like coming out like yes, but nobody's like. I feel like at worst people are saying it's very derivative of other horror films. But that ended up making a little over $7 million there. So
okay.
Yes. So that was also the subject of this week's box office bet.
Was Bree's below mine or above my bet?
Well, Bree had 4.6.
Oh, so she's much further going the other way. Wait, no.
Kari had 9.7.
And you were 7?
And I was 8.
8?
I don't have to go see this movie.
I felt like Bree was further away that she should have lost.
It is very close. I think it's by just like $100,000.
Oh, okay.
So by the
She's
skin
smiling
of
smugly.
her teeth, Bree slides by. Now, Brandon, you, of course, I know before you got on the show, you're a huge fan of the box office bet. You know, where we place our bets on what we think the opening box office of a film that the people in the chat choose is, and whoever wins gets to boast about how awesome they are at prognosticating, and then the loser has to go see this film. So I know you're excited to get involved this week. Yes?
I am excited, but I don't think I'm very good at it.
Oh,
It's all right. That makes it better for us.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Well,
not like we're great. I've been on a horrible losing streak, so this is one of my rare few wins. Bree is the one you have to worry about.
Yeah, to be fair, Brandon, I thought I was going to be really bad at it, and I feel like I've done pretty good last year. I think I had a good record. So you never know. You never know.
Well, to sell us on Underwater, Thunder God Cairo 770 says Underwater was surprisingly decent. I'm sorry, that doesn't quite tell me. I mean, at least you didn't say it's awful, so thank you. Okay.
Decent. That's
surprisingly decent.
But it's like, is decent like a movie does that make you want to go see a movie? If somebody says, hey, Brandon, go see this movie, it's decent.
Maybe if I have absolutely nothing to do. I've heard similar reviews of this movie. One person said that it wasn't that great, but they weren't mad that they saw it.
I'm like, all right, that was fine. I'm not mad. Well, folks, the box office bet train keeps running. And we have 2 films for your selection this week there in the chat. One is Bad Boys for Life. Finally, the long-awaited
that we've been waiting for.
Yes, the long-awaited continuation of the Bad Boys saga with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and also Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr. He left Iron Man.
Frank's so excited for Dr. Doolittle.
He's so excited.
You know, I was over at AMC when I was seeing 1917.
Yeah.
And they had also the costume setup for Doolittle.
Yeah.
Man, seeing those costumes, I was like, man, okay.
Why?
Right.
They look what?
They look bonkers. Like there's this one where, and I think you see a little snippet of it in the trailer, where he's kind of dressed almost like a rooster, where he's got like some kind of like rooster hat that he wears, and kind of really frilly sleeves and legs. And I was like, just seeing that on a mannequin in there, just that costume in and of itself, I'm like, why this movie? I don't know. Okay. So those are the 2 films. Start voting away there in the chat, and we will do our box office bet towards the end of the show. But
I do just want to shout out for a second, Frank, just to counteract what you're saying, like that they're already in the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and hit that like button, I see we got about 40-something people going on here, so we would love 40-something likes down there.
Yes.
Yes.
Hit that like button.
All those Doolittle fans, man. I know you came in here for the Doolittle talk. So
No, but see, now they're going to vote on that.
I don't know. I mean, you've got Bad Boys for Life. I don't know. All right, quick around the room. Who is a fan of the Bad Boys films?
I like them. I wouldn't.
I get a shrug.
I wouldn't consider myself a fan necessarily.
No, nobody wants to get some Will Smith, Martin Lawrence tattoos with me later to just celebrate.
I saw the first one
Maybe
for
Martin
sure.
Lawrence one.
Saw the first one for sure and liked it. I don't recall if I saw the second. But the problem with the first one is it's the Aladdin syndrome of I'm going to lie to you about a major point about the movie and we're just going to go around that lie. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah. No,
That's
I
like
agree.
frustrating and annoying to watch.
Bree, are you a
Action's
huge fan?
cool, but
I've never seen any Bad Boys film
Oh.
before.
Well, all right, you got some time this week
I'm a
to catch up.
huge fan. Might be a bit of a stretch. I mean, I could be if I saw them. Maybe.
Also, Megan Fox's debut, I think too.
Probably.
I think it was that. I thought it was that one. I'll double check.
All right.
But I remember that as being like a weird random fact thingy.
I mean, it's got a lot of mayhem.
Or is it Fast and the Furious? Is it? I'm like it's,
no. What was the robot one?
Transformers.
That wasn't her first one.
no. Like she's a hot bikini girl kind of thing, and I'll look it up.
Oh, all right. There's something about I have a soft spot for the Michael Bay films that are around this era. I was like, all right, I'll go for this. I mean, some of his later ones. Did you see Six Underground?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did rewatch Bad Boys 2 last weekend though.
Yes.
So
All right.
It got me a little excited.
Six
for Bad Boys
Underground
for
is
Life.
on Netflix, I believe, right now. If you
Yeah,
anyone
it's
wants to see it.
good.
So now you're pumped. You ready to go this weekend? You
Yes.
feel like you've
Slightly
caught up?
more pumped.
Okay, I did see Bad Boys too. So Megan Fox was in a couple smaller movies, and like TV, and then Bad Boys 2, Stars and Stripes, Bikini Kid dancing under waterfall, uncredited.
Uncredited.
Okay.
Man.
But that was some random behind the scenes factoid thing so I think I maybe did see it because I saw that segment.
And was then their next thing after that was the Transformers?
No.
She did a few other things
yep.
first. All right, and then Michael Bay said, "Wait a second, I cast her first. I'm going to bring her back for Transformers."
Yep.
Yes. I don't know. I know Michael Bay's not directing this one, but I don't know. Martin Lawrence I'm not a huge fan of, but Will Smith I can't say that I like everything Will Smith does. There are some of those films like After Earth and stuff I'm just like, nah. But in this kind of role, I'm like, all right, I will check out Will Smith. Like I feel the second Independence Day would have been improved immeasurably if Will Smith had been in it.
Well, Ken Jack says, I love the Bad Boy films, but it's been a long time since the last one, and I don't know how good this will be.
Well,
I think it's interesting. Why bring it back now? Yeah.
Well, let me segue from that into something that I want to talk real quickly about is January release dates. There's always those, I guess if you look at the calendar year, there's always 2 times of the year where people are saying, oh, this is the dumping ground for films. And that's usually more often January or September. And when you see these films being promoted and it comes out like as a January release date, do you hold any hope in your heart that like this is going to be a really good film and the network, the studios know it and they're just trying to just put it here because there's no other good films and this one's going to rise to the top? Or do you think like it's going to be all terrible? I still probably see it.
Only time is seasonal for movies of horror movies around Halloween and Christmas movies, holiday movies around like the end of the year. Otherwise, I don't ever pay attention to when it comes out.
So for you, like Dr. Doolittle, to you, this could be just as good as Black Widow coming out in May.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've never looked at it going, well, it's coming out this time, which means this is, no.
Okay. Brandon?
Yeah.
I think historically months like January and February have been the dumping ground for bad movies. But I think in recent years, in the last 5 years or so, we do see studios kind of evolving and strategically placing movies that they think will do well in a spot in January or February. I believe Deadpool came out in February.
Black Panther.
So there's certain films where studios can kind of jump in and take advantage of the fact there's not really much competition. So I think it really depends on the film and the studio trying to push whatever film that is.
I would agree about February because I feel like now they're realizing that is a good ground to jump in on at that time. But I feel like January, like I'm trying to think like the last time I saw a film in January that I really was like, yeah, that was awesome. And the best I could do was the last XXX movie that came out. Where Vin Diesel came back to take over the role. And that wasn't like an awesome film, but it was one I was like, I would watch another one of these if they made another one. So, but I feel like that was the highest one I could come to, like, yes, great January movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I only saw the first XXX.
You're doing yourself a disservice, Carrie.
Oh, okay. Should
Yeah.
go watch the other one.
Absolutely. Much like the Fast and Furious, it does a great effort in trying to tie in every other XXX film. Well, actually, I guess there's only 2.
I was
But
going to
bring
say, I'm
them
like, wait, the other
all
ones.
together, make it a big cohesive universe.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think I have your movie watching set for this week. Then just dive deep into the XXX oeuvre.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you put it on an equal level? And I know you, Carrie, is somebody who doesn't really matter about the time of year
no.
something was being released. But Brandon, if something comes out in January as opposed to say September, do you put either month of weight in terms of movies are dumping ground more often in January, more often September, or you kind of see it as equal?
I would say probably more often in January. I'm a little hesitant of movies still that come out in January, but I try to pay attention to what the movie is, who's producing it, if there's any behind the scenes turmoil maybe that pushed it to that slot. So we've seen movies do that where maybe there's a studio takeover or production troubles and they just dump it in January just to get rid of it and try to break even. But yeah, typically January I'm a little weary of, especially if I'm in the movie theater and I'm watching the trailers and I see a trailer for a movie and I think it looks horrible, and then I also see coming January. Ooh, no. Pass.
Some of the chat made a good point that Glass came out in January.
Man, that's a movie I wanted to like more.
That's true. It was kind of.
I liked it.
Right.
I liked it.
I liked it. You both are wrong. It's fine.
No, I liked it. I wanted more, but not as much as Frank. And then in watching all of them, I did enjoy it, but it was one of those like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just whether he
Oh,
was.
that's cool.
I mean, I feel like he was like deliberately subverting it, and I don't know, like setting us all up to expect one sort of ending. I mean, I guess you should realize when the budget's so low, you're not going to get the ending that he's trying to set you up for. But to have it be so the logistics and the spacing of that conclusion, where everybody is and how they're reacting to what's happening around them, just seemed a little. The pacing seemed really off for me, and how people would react to who's watching who at what point and how they're reacting to things, and who's getting killed and who's without anybody noticing when they should be, because they're all kind of in the same geographical location. Kind of bugged me towards the end.
Suspend your disbelief. Gosh,
right.
it's just a movie.
There you go. I just take my disbelief off and just hang it outside the
You're
theater.
not
as
a
I
real
walk in.
fan.
Yes.
That's right.
You're not a real fan.
All right,
Oh,
so
man.
as we're talking about our next two movies here, Dr. Doolittle and Bad Boys for Life. Dr. Doolittle, Robert Downey Jr. He's coming off of Avengers Endgame. He's wrapping up his Marvel Universe run. I mean, of course, he's like held as the big draw of the Marvel Universe. Everything he started it, everything was kind of built around him. He's now stepping off, letting others pick up the baton as they continue forward. Seeing that his next film, right here, Dr. Doolittle, coming out in January from Universal, it seems kind of a bummer because I really liked Robert Downey Jr. But I'm like, this is your next movie and it's coming out here. I feel bad for Robert Downey Jr. Brandon, when you saw that he was doing this film as his next one after Avengers Endgame, did it give you pause?
I think when I initially heard about it, it sounded interesting, but I think this is one of those films where we did hear it took a while to come out. There might have been some production issues that we don't know about, but that made me a little weary of it. And now dumping it in January, it really seems like they're just hoping that maybe on the name of Robert Downey Jr. alone, they can make their money back. But history has shown that Robert Downey Jr., outside of the Avengers, hasn't done a good job of selling a movie on his name alone. Like with The Judge, I believe, that was one that just kind of came and went.
Yeah. As much as I really enjoy him, like there's only certain types of roles I want to see him in, and so The Judge was one of those that came out where I was like, and I never went and saw it.
The Judge was so good.
We got a couple movies, people representing different times of year. Jenna James says Taken came out in January.
Okay, I will give that. I'll give it up for Taken.
And then Stardrew says Paddington was in January.
Yeah, all right, I'll give that up for that. Okay, all right. Two.
Jenna James has a few more. Haywire, Half Baked, and Cloverfield. Digging deep on some of these too.
Haywire. I wanted to like more. Half Baked is. Mileage may vary in terms of how much people like Half Baked. It didn't do much for me. And
and
Cloverfield, I got so motion sick watching that film that it
Yeah.
just didn't do much for me.
question though for Robert Downey Jr. What about Sherlock Holmes?
Sherlock
That
Holmes
was
is good.
really good. That was super
Yes.
cool, and that was his name.
Yeah, I was down for Sherlock Holmes as well.
Yeah, but was it necessarily the name or the style director of the film?
It was a combination.
both.
It was
Yeah.
a combination for me.
Same.
Yeah, I think much like Iron Man and the whole MCU, it's a combination of all these pieces working
Yeah.
really well together. And I think if they do eventually give us a Sherlock Holmes 3 that it'll do fairly well at the box office. Might not be a huge blockbuster hit, but I think it can do well.
Because I remember seeing Due Date when it was him and Zach Galifianakis when that came out. And that movie's, I wanted to like it more. And I was really pumped for it. And then I saw it and I was like,
Oh,
all right.
Ryan Beesa's Hidden Figures came out in January. That was really good. That was a really good movie.
But I also feel like, did it get limited release in December and then kind of
That's
went
what I'm
wide in
wondering.
January?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Like 1917, for example, is
Yes.
open in New York and LA on Christmas, and now in January it's got the wide release.
Yeah, so like
Or
for
after
those,
award season, then it's like, hey.
There's a little gray area
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
in the new year.
Hidden Figures would have had to come out in December because it was being nominated for awards that year.
There you go.
Yeah. So I feel like those films, I just got to give a pass on it. Consider it back a part of last year's award season crop that come out. Damn it, Haywire. Yeah, I wanted to like that film more.
Oh, Jody in the chat says, I feel bad for Robert Downey Jr. because he's doing press for Doolittle. And the only question he's been asked is if he's returning to Marvel. I'm surprised he hasn't walked out of an interview. Oh, that is awful. Like, talk to him about this movie. Or transition. Like, you go from superheroes to this. What has that been like? Like, aw.
Well, true,
That's not fair.
because it wasn't as if he'd left without any ambiguity.
Yeah, it
was
wasn't
pretty
like he
conclusive.
goes, yeah, and he's not like, I'm leaving, is a big deal. So
Yeah. He had said his farewells.
those
He said-
interviewers,
yeah, he was ready to pass the
Why?
baton on. I mean, he
I
made
haven't
it
seen the
clear.
interviews, so I can't say, but that's not fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess people want it to be like comic books where even though you've seen a character die, there's always a way to bring them back. Like, oh, it can't be true, is it, Robert? It could be true. It could be true.
Yeah.
All right. So, folks, we got to start doing our box office bet. Keep voting away there in the chat for our two films, Bad Boys for Life, as well as Dr. Doolittle. There you go. But in the meantime, we'll give you a rundown of what we think next week's top 5 will be.
Can I pause on that real quick?
Oh, because Carrie's got a
I saw another
anime
movie.
Yes.
So anime movie I want to tell you all about. Coming out on January 15th and 16th is Weathering with You. This is the same studio that did Your Name. It is a very beautiful film. These films this company does, G Kids, it's kind of this magical realism and then expands to bigger consequences or chain of events rather too, and those are really fascinating to watch. Also, the movie is a lot about finding out what you care about and going after it regardless of the consequences. And it's this kids and going against the law and trying to survive and like on their own, because one of the main characters, he's a runaway, and just, well, what do you do when you're 16 and you can't get a job, but like you can't technically live alone? So and he meets a girl, and she has essentially the ability to stop the rain. So she's a sunshine girl. So it's like constantly rainy in Tokyo, and she can pray and make the rain stop. But like it's essentially a power. But what happens when you constantly do that? And can there be negative consequences? So yeah, I recommend it. If you liked Your Name, and then just anime movies in general, it's really cool, and kind of, again, a magical realism is the style. It's actually very funny too. Heartwarming, and has some like just a sweetness to it, and comes out on the 15th and 16th. So go check it out.
All right.
Limited release.
So,
Speaking of releases
Yes, there
and
you
things,
go.
I'm like anime ones, not as often and not as many locations, but through Fathom Events is having it in theaters.
So for next week's top 5,
Yes.
Bad Boys for Life, Dr. Doolittle, do you think either of them will knock off 1917 from number 1?
You guys got to do this pretty quick. We're running a little low
Okay.
on time here, so let's do a real
Right.
fast top 5.
Bad Boys could, maybe.
I'm
You're
thinking Bad Boys for Life.
Okay.
It might take
It
the number
could.
1 spot.
All right. Man, I'm still gonna say I feel like 1917 is gonna ride a little high. I feel like Bad Boys for Life, it's gonna be there's too many sequels, so I'm gonna feel like it where they have not lived up to their predecessors. So I will put 1917. I'll put Bad Boys for Life, Star Wars.
The other stars.
I'll put Jumanji, then I'll put Dr. Doolittle.
I'll take that, but I'll swap Jumanji and Doolittle.
All right,
Yeah.
Brandon.
I think I'll take yours and swap Bad Boys in 1917.
All right.
Okay, all right. He's going. He's riding high.
I'm riding high.
On the Bad
Yes.
Boys.
I believe. Bad Boys for Life.
All right, I'll call it to Ken Jack here to see which
Yeah.
one of our films we'll be doing our box office bet on.
Let's see. people are listing their top 5s.
In the meantime, folks, the box office bet, as I explained to Brandon, if you're just tuning in now, is we will bet on the opening box office total of the film that you've chosen in the chat. Whoever comes close will boast about
Bad
the
Boys won the
prognostication.
bet.
Oh, Bad Boys! Sorry, Star Drew. He was all like, Doolittle. I'm sorry,
So,
Star Drew.
You said 1, and we both said 2.
Yes.
This will
All right,
make it
Bad Boys for
interesting.
life there. Coming back. Almost the whole gang is back, sans Mr. Michael Bay. But feel free, Brandon.
Give
We
your
will
phone.
just... Or you can just say it
You
if you
can
want.
say it out loud.
Yes.
You just can't change your number.
Oh, yes. If you want to type it out on your phone and your calculator so we can keep it all here.
Okay.
All right. Bad Boys. I know I'm going to see this movie, so I'm not. I'll do. Okay. I got my number. Brendan, you feel good?
I think so. I don't know.
All right, Bree, you ready?
I think so.
Wow, look at that enthusiasm and that the confidence.
Because I don't know the franchise, so it makes it hard for me to know what to bet. But I put a number in, and I'll stick with it.
Well, they're bad. The boys and they're bad.
I mean, it's Will Smith and
Oh,
Martin,
you're like, who's that?
Those guys.
What's
Those
his name?
guys. All right, Bree,
so
what do you got?
They're big names.
Yes,
I went
they're
with 24.2.
Ooh, all right. Nice, solid opening number. All right, Brandon, what do you got?
Oh, I went a little higher.
I love it.
With 33.
All right, 33.
I think
nice.
that's solid. I think.
Yeah?
I think there's gonna be
But
people
you said
ready
number
for this
1,
movie.
so you should have a higher
Yeah.
number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bree, you and I are somewhere near the same wavelength. 24.7.
Ooh, 24.7. Very nice. I rounded it out there with just a straight up. I didn't go to the decimal points. I just went straight up 24.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, look at
so wait,
that.
then I'm the highest. No, you're the highest.
Yes.
Just kidding.
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
oh, yes.
Frank's
You're much
the,
higher.
Frank's
Woo.
the lowest, and Brendan's the highest.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah,
All
Kari,
right.
we got that.
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous.
All right, folks. Brandon, how did you like the show?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, it was great having you on here.
great being
yes.
on.
All right. So, folks, thanks for joining us here for this episode of Box Office Breakdown. As always, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a thumbs up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yay!
Yes. Thanks everybody for hopping in the chat. And Kari, if they're watching after we stream live, what can they do?
Yes, comment down below.
And folks, if you want to stay in touch with any of us, even after the show's over, Bree, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at BRI_Phipps, PHIPPS on Twitter and Instagram.
Brandon?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHannah07.
And you can find me online at Kari D. Lane. That's KARIDLANE.
And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Box Office Breakdown. We'll be back here next Sunday with an all-new episode right here on Popcorn Talk. Go see some movies.
See ya!
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.